Friday, everyone. Welcome to this week's Clear Perspective. I'm super excited to join you with one of my good friends, Dr. Todd Fisher. Hey, Dr. Fisher, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing, Allison?
I'm good, especially now that I am talking to you and we are talking about how you went from basically doing 5 cases of Invisalign a year to reaching platinum, and how you developed that success along the way. So I'm super excited to dive in here. And for all of you that are watching, I want you to get your notepad out, write some tips down because Dr. Fisher is a true inspiration and a leader. And I'm so excited to kind of crack into your brain and hear how you managed this success in the last few years.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. Hopefully, I can give you some useful information.
Oh, I know you will. So I met Dr. Fisher, through Mollis coaching. You were kind of this like this person that we always talked about, like, oh, Dr. Fisher, he did this, he's doing so well. Like it was somebody that I heard your name probably 100 times before I actually met you. And I remember coming into the PACE program at the Invisalign headquarters last year, and I was late. And I sat down and I was just kind of like dazed, and you're like, hi, I'm Dr. Fisher. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're Dr. Fisher. And it was such a cool meeting because I had just heard so many amazing things about you. Heard how you're so supportive in the Mollis coaching community, all of the success that you've had, the support that you give to your team. And it was really, really cool to meet you in person for the first time. So that's how we met.
Yeah,
And through then, go
sorry.
ahead.
Yeah, I that's very kind of you to say. I appreciate you saying that. I have to give a lot of that credit probably to my team. I know you know my team a lot better, or knew them before you actually met me. So they've kind of propped me up a little bit, but thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, 100%. And that is just kind of giving people a backstory too. So I run and lead Moles coaching teams, community, and curriculum. And so I've designed a curriculum with Ryan Moles and his team on how to become Invis leaders. And so Todd's team hopped right into that community and they were just absolute rock stars. Like, when you meet somebody virtually and you're like, wow, I feel like I know you, your team just came in so engaged, so excited, participated in every single thing that we're doing right off the bat. And so I knew I was like, I'm going to really like these girls. And I've gotten to meet a lot of them in person over the last few months, and it's been such a joy. So let's kind of dive in because I know those listening, this is something that I hear all the time is I want to do more Invisalign in my practice. I can't get my team involved. I want to know, like, how did you adopt Invisalign into your practice so successfully? Because it was such a short time frame where you went from doing like 5 cases a year to hitting platinum. What did you do to adopt Invisalign into your practice so successfully?
The biggest thing I will credit that to is Mollis coaching. And like you said, we're both, pretty involved in that. I was certified to do Invisalign in December of 2017. From 2017 until March of 2021, I had done a total of 4 or 5 cases max. So basically 1 case a year. And my Invisalign rep had been coming by every so often, just checking in or whatever. And he had sent me an email at one point saying, hey, I have a rep with me that wants to do an iTero demonstration. Would you be interested? And at first I kind of brushed him off. Like, no, I don't, I don't really have $50,000 or whatever it costs to buy a scanner. So, it's probably a waste of your time. The more I thought about it, I thought, intraoral scanning, digital is the way everything's going. Do I want to be on the forefront of that? Or do I want to, kind of be the guy that does it just because he has to catch up? And so the more I thought about it, I sent him a message back and said, okay, let's do a demo. Can't promise you I'm going to buy anything, but let's do it. So I did that, talked to him a little bit more about it. And that's when I learned about Mollis. He had some other doctors in the area that had joined and had success with it. And so after the demo, I decided, okay, let's do this. I'm going to buy one of these scanners. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it 100%. I'm going to jump
Mm-hmm.
in head first. So he originally had told me, once you do this, let's get you a few cases on your belt and then maybe think about doing Mollis. Well, I didn't listen to him, and I did molars right away anyways. And that has been the biggest boost to our office for a number of things, but especially Invisalign. And that's how I kind of got started. So we went from doing one case a year to, platinum status, which is 65 cases every 6 months, within a span of about 12 months or so.
Mhm. That's amazing. That's amazing. And I think one of the things that like you just said that I love and I think is such a key is like you dove right in. You committed 100%. And that's really like for anyone that wants to know how to scale and design in their practice, that's one of the key factors I think is just to dive into it, go 100%, commit to it. So how would you say Invisalign has changed your practice?
There's a number of ways. The obvious answer is, production and cash flow. Invisalign is one of the most profitable per hour or per whatever you want to, judge it by, procedures that we can do. There's very few procedures that you can, spend, at this point, now that I've learned how to use the system, my time is 30 minutes, 45 minutes, max for an entire case. Any other procedure you do, you're not going to make that kind of profit in 30 to 45 minutes. There's very
Mhm.
few things that you can do. So the obvious answer is, obviously cash flow is better. Um, but outside of that, my team is happier. My team is very heavily involved in the Invisalign process. They handle probably 90% of it. So my assistants aren't just handing me instruments. My hygienists aren't just cleaning teeth and then letting me point out all the other stuff. They're all heavily involved in the Invisalign process, what it can do for patients, how it can help. And I think that's, made them happier and enjoy their job more as well.
I love that. And that's again, it's something that I'm so passionate about. Like you know this about me and all of our listeners know this about me is I'm so passionate about helping your team be the most empowered version of themselves within your practice. And Invisalign is a tool, it's ability for them to have autonomy, to have the confidence, to know how they can be a huge part of that transformation that your patients go through. But I know a lot of doctors really struggle getting their team involved in it. So what did you do to be able to get your team really bought in and helping you spend, 10% of your time in that and them spending the 90% fulfilling the case?
Part of that again goes back to Mullis coaching. There are things that Dr. Mullis teaches about how to get your team involved, but outside of learning how to get involved, you have to be able to let go of some things. And I know as dentists or healthcare professionals in general, there are a lot of type A personalities. There are a lot of micromanagers out there, and you have to be willing to give up some of that in order for your team to be successful. And I've been able to do that. It's, sometimes it's a struggle to not want to look over, somebody's shoulder and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, if you can give up some of that control, your team is capable. They can do any of this stuff. You just have to be willing to let them do it. And if you do, they're going to be happier and your practice is going to be more successful because of it.
I love that. It's so true. And it is hard. Like your name's on the door. You're you're responsible for your patient. And one of my favorite quotes or favorite things that I like to say is a lot of doctors that I talk to, they're like, Allison, what if I train my team and they leave? I'm like, what if you don't train them and they stay? And that's the reality is that we miss out on this massive opportunity to have more engaged team members, happier team members. The patients actually have a better experience when the doctor isn't the one that has to do all of the things. And so it's so many wins to get there. What were some of the things that, in the first couple of years that you kind of hit up against trying to make this happen? Like what was kind of like the struggles that you had and how did you overcome them?
Probably the biggest struggle we had was when we first got our scanner, figuring out how to implement it and then actually doing it. Especially with, anytime you introduce a new something that's going to add time into a hygiene appointment or whatever kind of appointment, it's going to be a struggle because we get in our kind of routine and our groove. And anytime you mess with that, people kind of want to butt heads against it, or what have you. So that was probably our biggest struggle. But I told my team the same thing I told you when I bought that scanner and joined Molus. We were doing this 100%. This is just how it was going to be. And luckily for me, my team has been awesome. I've been very blessed to have a good team. And they never really questioned me. And they took it on and have gone 100%, and it's been great. But once you get over that first hurdle of introducing something new, and they realize they can do it and it's not a hindrance to anything, they'll take it and run with it.
100%. It's the expectation and the allowance of knowing that you're going to be a beginner at something. And I think that's something that, as a coach, I talk to my teams about this all the time. Like, allow yourself to be a beginner. Don't expect that you're going to know how to do something super fast right off the bat. And allow also for that time and the practice to train your team. I know, like, just from working with you guys for the last little while, you guys have dedicated training times. You guys have dedicated meetings to calibrate, to get this stuff organized. And if you don't have that, very often I'll see, especially my hygiene team, they're nervous. They don't want to look silly in front of their patients. If we don't give them the time and the training to help them be confident, they're not going to do it. And so you guys have done so many things right with that systemization, the ability to know the direction that you're going in, and then put the systems in place to be able to get there. So
Right.
for somebody that may be in like a position that you were in a couple of years ago, it's 5 cases a year, but they're like, oh, I really wish I could do more. What tips would you give them? Like, what would you want to tell yourself, a few years ago?
So for me, the biggest reason I wasn't doing more cases is because I didn't really understand the Invisalign system. I'm a general dentist. I don't have a whole lot of ortho training outside of what we learned in dental school, which is, at least at my dental school, was next to nothing. In the course you take to get certified to do Invisalign, it's a 4-hour course. You don't learn enough to really know how to use it at that point. So that was part of my reason for not really doing it as much
Mhm.
early on. When I joined Molus Coaching, Dr. Molus has a great program that actually walks you through any type of case that you can imagine doing, and gives you a systematic approach of how to do pretty much 95% of the cases that walk in your door.
Mhm.
And that alone gave me the confidence. I knew that if I didn't know right off the bat how to, do a case, I could go to Dr. Mollis or any of the faculty, the Facebook community they have, and I was going to be able to get help, and I was going to be able to do the case. So anybody that's wanting to do more, and is not doing more because they're not confident clinically, I would highly
Mhm.
recommend Mollis Coaching. Um, that's been the biggest boost for my practice for anything. I've taken a lot of CE courses with a lot of highly renowned practitioners around the world, and by far, Molis Coaching has had the biggest effect on my practice over anything.
I love that. And I see that a lot in terms of being a very conscious doctor. You're like, I don't want to do something that I'm not confident doing, but this system gives you the confidence to do that. And I mean, I'm obsessed with systems. I think we all know this by now, but when we want to accomplish something, like when we want to set a goal, when we want to accomplish something once we set a goal, we want to do something consistently with success, we create a system. And that's the thing that I love about Moles coaching, is that it's a system that you can repeat every single time. And guess what? You get more efficient, you get more confident, you have more fun with it because you know exactly how to do something, how to look at it every single time. So I absolutely love that. So I thank you for, these gems, these tools. And I think just the understanding, like, if you want to change the amount of Invisalign that you're doing in your practice, you can. There are the resources out there for you. And the reality is, once you get this under your belt, it's going to take some time to have that learning, to train your team, to get everybody on board. It's going to take a little bit of time, but the results of it are so, so worth it. It's just great to hear from you the journey that you've been on and the mindset that you had, that you're going to commit 100% to this. And it's paying off for you. So, what is your future goal? Like, what does the future look like for Fisher Dental?
Future goal is to keep going and growing. My goal at this point, as far as Invisalign is concerned, is to eventually become a diamond provider. we're well on our way. We got a little work to do, but we're getting there. But again, 18 months ago, I had done a total of 5 cases. I've done well over 100 at this point. I also help do ClinCheck support with mollusk coaching at this point. So I look at ClinChecks every day. And it's, 18 months ago, if you told me this is where I would be, I would have laughed in your face. I would have said that's not possible. It's not going to happen. But it's if I can do it, anybody can do it. Trust me.
I love that. Thank you so much. So, final question, which I love to ask all of my podcast guests, and that is, at the end of all of this, all the work that you're doing, everything that you've done in dentistry so far, and will do in the future, what is going to be your true measure of success?
Oh wow, that's a tough question. I guess my true measure of success would be, I want to be happy. I want my team to be happy. I want people to come to work and enjoy what they do. Whether that's, they enjoy the money they get paid, or they just enjoy being, in the company of their teammates. That's my biggest concern. Just people are happy. I don't want people to come to work or, and be miserable and not want to be here. So
100%. Well, I want to acknowledge you. I want to honor you for the leadership that you show to your team and to the rest of the community, the dental community. Just you're so honest and resilient, and you come as you are always. And I always appreciate that about you. You've done amazing big things, but you've always just so down to earth, so kind, so helpful to everyone else. And I think that you're just an inspiration to a lot of dentists out there. And I think it's so good to hear too that with these systems, with this mindset, and the skill set that you can create for yourself, like you can change your practice and you can change your team's lives, and you show up as that leader all the time so consistently. So I really appreciate the work that you're doing in the dental world, and I can't wait to see what you're going to accomplish.
thank you. I really appreciate that, Allison.
Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Happy Friday, and thank you for watching The Clear Perspective.